Writing an ebook is one of the hardest things to do as a beginner in the digital product space. What makes it so difficult is deciding on what to write about. I've studied the top 10 internet writers, and I've discovered that all of them have a formula for deciding what to write about. But deciding what to write about is only one of the steps you need to write a profitable ebook. What you really need is an entire framework for writing your ebook. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my one idea to income writing framework. I've written print books and ebooks that have made me thousands of dollars, and I've helped others do the same using this winning framework. So let's get into step one. A lot of people start writing ebooks because they love writing. They want to share their story, they want to share their thoughts, they want to share their expertise. That's cool. But before you start writing, you need to answer this very important question. Are you writing for the love of writing, or are you writing for the business of writing? Here's the truth. If you want your ebook to sell, you need to treat it like a product. Writing for self-expression won't get you in front of readers. I'll use me for an example. In 2021, I published a journal for people who were suffering from the long-term effects of COVID because I had a friend who was going through the same thing at the time. At the time that I recorded this video, I think I may have sold less than 200 copies. I didn't ask anybody about the idea. I didn't ask anybody if it was a good idea or a bad idea. I really didn't think about that and really didn't care. I wrote that journal based on what I call the love of writing. Now, another book I published about how to find your purpose in life has sold over 3,000 copies, and it made the bestsellers list. I wrote that book based on the business of writing. I understood what the marketplace wanted, and I provided a solution for what the marketplace was looking for. The bottom line is, if you treat your ebook like a product, your writing will become clearer, more focused, and you'll actually write something that people want. The love of writing is you serving yourself. The business of writing is you serving others. Now that you're thinking like an entrepreneur, it's time to go to step 2 and answer this critical question. What should I write about? This is where the majority of people get stuck. And you get stuck because you have so many ideas in your head. You're trying to decide on the perfect idea. You don't need the perfect idea. You just need the right idea. And you can always find the right idea by solving a specific problem for a specific person in one of these 3 categories: health, wealth, or relationships, what I call the 3 essentials. Everyone wants to be healthy, everyone wants to be wealthy, and everyone wants to love and be loved. Now, with the category in mind, ask yourself this question. What do people always ask you for help with? For example, in 2012, I worked full-time as a software trainer, but I had started a business, a publishing company, so that I could publish my own books. The only problem I had was I didn't know what I wanted to write about. My manager knew I had a business, and he would always suggest to coworkers who had questions about business to come see me and get the questions answered. And he would always tell me, you know a lot about business. You need to write a book. It took about 3 months, but then it clicked. I figured out what I needed to write about. All of that time, I had been talking and answering questions to people about how to start a business. So I decided, why not talk about something that I knew a lot about and that I had already been helping people do? Start a business. That would fit perfectly in the wealth category, but I needed to solve a specific problem for a specific person. So I wrote a book for people with full-time jobs who wanted to start an online business and also wanted to form an LLC. It was my first print book, and it was a big success. Another tip to help you figure out what to write about is to look at your social media posts. Look at some of the texts you get. What kind of questions do you find yourself answering easily and with confidence? These are clues to what you can write about. 2 key points to keep in mind. Your ebook should always answer a question that people are already asking, and it should take something that you already know and match it with something that people actually need. Once you've locked down your one idea, the next step is putting together the most important part of your ebook. And speaking of important, I know how important it is that you write a successful ebook. So if you're ready to write a 6-figure ebook with stuff you already know like the back of your hand, click on the link in the description below. And before you know it, you have huge numbers, good news, and 5-star reviews like what you see on the screen right now. Okay, step 3. The title of your ebook is the most important part of your ebook. Without a winning title, your ebook would be difficult to write, difficult to read, and difficult to sell. A huge mistake people make is using titles that are vague or titles they think are cool, like Thinking Your Way Through Wealth or Loving Yourself Through the Hard Times. These titles are confusing, and nobody's going to take 1 second trying to figure out what these titles mean or what these ebooks are about. When people get ready to purchase an ebook, they have 3 questions they want answered, and you want your title to answer those 3 questions: the who, the what, and the why. I call it the WWW method. You want to identify who the book is for, what you're going to offer them, and why it's important for them to read your ebook. Now let's break down 2 book titles and apply the WWW method to each title. The first title is How to Write an Ebook. The second title is 5 Steps to Write an Ebook in 1 Weekend to Sell as a Digital Product. Now, if we look at that first title, How to Write an Ebook, the who in that is for someone who wants to write an ebook. The what, you're not really giving them what the book is going to be about other than how to write an ebook. And the why, there is no why. You're not explaining to them why it's important that they read the ebook. Now let's look at that second book title, 5 Steps to Write an Ebook in 1 Weekend to Sell as a Digital Product. Once again, the who in that is for someone who wants to write an ebook, but not just write an ebook. They want to write it in a specific time frame. So the what in there is you're giving them 5 steps. You're going to tell them how they can accomplish this in just 5 steps. And the why, the benefit, the reason why it's important for them to read your ebook so that they can sell it as a digital product. So in that one title, you've answered all 3 questions: the who, the what, and the why. And the why is very important because people want to know what the transformation is. They want to know what the outcome is. They want to know what the benefit is. The reason why it's important that you read or that they read your ebook. A strong title will make the decision to buy your ebook easy because it answers all the questions that your buyer has in their mind. A clear title immediately says to your reader, this book solves my problem and I need it. Remember, you don't want to be original, you want to be obvious. You don't want to be clever, you want to be clear. Before you start writing, though, you need to make sure that people are interested in your idea. That takes us to step 4. Writing your ebook without validating your idea is almost guaranteeing your ebook is going to fail. Remember how my COVID journal idea turned out. You don't want to spend weeks or even longer writing something that nobody wants to read. So take the time and test your idea first. And the simplest way to do this is to post your idea on social media or ask a few people that you trust what they think about your idea. This is also a great way to test your title of your ebook. If your ebook title is clear, all you need to do is pop it into social media posts and ask the question, would you be interested in learning how you could spend the summer in Paris for under $500? Or would you be interested in knowing how to get your kids through medical school without scholarships or loans? These are real problems that people have. And if you could provide those solutions, it's easy to find out if it's something that people want. Like I said, you could just throw it into a social media post or you could ask friends. But if you think about it, you always want to ask people who have an interest in something. Don't ask somebody something that they have no interest in what they think about the idea, because you won't be getting good feedback. You can also search on Amazon, that's general topic, just to see if there's a demand in the Amazon marketplace for your idea. And of course, what you're looking for are comments from the questions that you asked in your social media posts or from your friends. Is there something they're interested in? If you hear 7, 8 people say yes, that's a clear idea that what you want is important in the marketplace. A validated idea saves you time, frustration, disappointment, and it almost guarantees that you're going to have a product that sells. With your idea validated, now it's time to bring that idea to life. Step 5. You won't believe this, but this is actually the point where most people quit. Not because they can't write, but because they don't believe they're writers. They start to compare themselves to other authors. They start looking at fiction authors, well-known nonfiction authors, and they think to themselves, wow, what I say is not that important. Nobody's going to listen to me. And that's actually the opposite. You have to remember, you're writing to solve a specific problem or a specific person. And the truth is, you've been writing since first grade. Think of all the things you've written, book reports, essays, resumes, cover letters, PowerPoint presentations, product reviews, surveys, emails. You've been writing your entire life. And the next thing you need to get over is your first draft. It's not going to be great. It's not supposed to be. Remember, it's just your first draft. And the purpose of your first draft is just to get your ideas out on paper. Think of it like you purchased a puzzle and you're just dumping the puzzle out onto the table. The purpose of putting the puzzle on the table is just to get the puzzle pieces out in front of you so that you can organize them and separate them and see what you have in front of you. And it's the same thing when it comes to your writing. You want to just dump the words out of your head onto the paper, onto the screen, so that you can organize them, so you can separate them, so that you can see that see what you have in front of you, and you can begin to put together your masterpiece. You want to use simple language. You want to write like you talk. You want to be clear, not clever. Don't use big terms, jargon, 6, 7 syllable words. You want to speak to your audience. Always remember who your audience is. And this is where your ebook title is very important. Again, remember the ebook title. Remember and allow it to guide you through the writing process. No more than 10 chapters. If you have more than 10 chapters, then that means you haven't narrowed down your topic enough. And something else you want to keep in mind that's very important. You want to write first, edit second. Never do them both at the same time. It will never work out. And while you're writing it, always remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. The beauty of an ebook is if you find something you want to change a couple of days later, you can always just update the file and upload it again. This is how you write a profitable ebook with just one idea. Writing an ebook isn't about being an expert. It's about taking something that you've experienced, putting a writing framework around it, and allowing it to serve others. So if you're ready to write a 6-figure ebook, click on the link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.